This week's Cuppa Coffee is sponsored by Land for Rent, built for farmers who want to grow. Check that out, landforrent.com. And they did change the platform on me. I'm going to go and see if I can find Brian backstage here. There we go. Brian, are you there?
I am here.
Perfect. We've got canola down about $10 a ton here this morning, trading at 734. We've got beans down, soybeans down about a nickel here. Bean oil actually suffering more loss than canola, down just about a couple percent here, penny and a quarter. Actually, let's refresh canola. I just refreshed the screen, only down $7 now. So there we go. We're already in recovery mode. We've got Kansas wheat up a penny or so here. Corn's up a penny after a big sell-off yesterday. And I did not look at spring wheat, Brian. It was up a nickel last I checked.
It's currently up 6.5. So
there we go.
That's pretty good.
6.5. We'll take it. Canadian dollars trading at 70.5. And West Texas, I've got 74. So just under $71 barrel. And then I also want to put in here urea. We've got a new low in the urea market for summer fill. We've got, I'm going to say, a sub 740 for July. Okay. And so you got to do, as a farm, you got to go and do your homework over there. But Josh Linville said a couple of weeks ago on the show, hey, these quotes are a little bit high, higher than I expected. And we have corrected about $40 a ton, $30 to $40 a ton from those initial offers. So just something to keep in mind if summer fill is on your mind. And it is negotiation time. You can go out there and negotiate and kind of see what comes back. It may not be on price. It may be on terms. It may be on delivery. It may be on storage, so on and so forth. So, all right, Brian, what's going on in Winnipeg this week?
We're not getting as much. Well, we got a big shot last night. We've been getting big shots, but I would say compared to the area you're in, our moisture is wet, but not as bad.
Yeah, that's moisture. Like, it makes grain for a while, and then at some point, too much, it doesn't anymore. So unfortunately, yeah. What are you seeing like prairie wide with your client base? You work with lots of farms, of course, Brian, with Ireland, Comeault, Lafoy. How are the conversations going? Are folks quite optimistic on crop conditions? Or are they starting to turn the other way now, or they're less optimistic on yield?
I think there's still some optimism out there because you're right. Rain does make grain. And, there is lots of vegetation in the crops that, have come up and are doing well. So, I think a lot of the conversations now are turning towards, fungicide application and even just kind of watching the way the markets are. And, seasonally, we're seeing some normal seasonal patterns in markets and things like that. And yeah. So, you mentioned you were doing a strategy call later this week. And, the strategies that were executed before the downturn, I think, look really good. So I think that's offering some kind of relaxation, I suppose, with what's going on.
Yeah, no, that's a good comment. It's weird. I don't know how you feel today, but we get these acreage numbers, the markets move, but you're moving, pieces on the game board and kind of anticipating something like this and putting the pieces together to participate and kind of activate your next strategy. So it's been a busy couple days here for sure. The Lunchbox crew, we do a Sunday evening crop ratings within the group. So of course, we're not evenly spread out across the prairies, so that you got to keep that in mind. But 3 weeks ago, very high, good to excellent category. Then it dropped. The second week, a significant drop, I would say, in the good to excellent category. And then it rebounded this Sunday. So we had a big climb. And so some optimism there, especially in Saskatchewan and portions of central Alberta as well. All right, buddy, I'm going to pull up the StatsCan numbers. I don't have any news here today. Of course, we've got USDA report in a couple of hours. And we have, the heat dome of doom or whatever that thing is coming in the U.S. as well. So we're going to trade weather But let's take a dive here into StatsCan. I'll let you kick us off on where you want to start. I'm sure it's faba beans. I'm sure that's what you wanted to pull up first, but I'll let you start.
Sure. I think the number that the market, in Canada here at least, was most focused on was canola. And, that number actually came in significantly higher than expectations. And it was reported at 23.4, rounding. The average trade guess was 22.8. Although I guess I'll state, in Canada, the average trade guess is 11 people who submit numbers. That's not a whole lot. So, the accuracy or the statistical, relevance is a little bit in question, which may be seeing why I would call today's reaction a bit muted. Like in past years, this would have been a really bearish report for canola. I think that the discussion will now turn to how many acres didn't get seeded, right? Because generally speaking, this the survey for this report is done, mid-May to end of June. And so, mid-May, there might have been a little bit more optimism. Even at the beginning of June, there might have been.
Yeah.
That faded. But, having said that, I do think that, there is one thing to keep in mind, I think, is that not all of the areas saw a decline in planting. And the profitability of canola was so good this year that there's a lot in the fringe areas, the areas that would normally be in the drier areas where they would kind of avoid it. But so that's probably where you're seeing the biggest increase in acres, is probably in some of those areas that, are generally not big canola areas, like let's say the 16 highway area.
Yeah. Southwest Saskatchewan, big increase in acres there, and the precipitation and the weather to kind of go with it for now too. So fingers crossed, knock on wood. I had a meeting with a guy in Swift yesterday, and he said, 10 years, Ryan. It's been 10 years since I've felt this good about my crop. So I have a solid wood table here, guys. We're just knocking on all the wood we can for those guys. Now, my number was closer to 24 million acres. That's where I was thinking. So I was a little bit too high on my estimate. But I think the point that I want to make here as well, at 23.4 million acres, there's a lot of variance in ending stocks, even for this last crop year and moving forward. It's not overly burdensome. It's not like super snug, but it's also not overly burdensome. It's a very comfortable number. And then if you start to shave off a little bit of yield, which I started to shave off a little bit of yield, from expectations here, there is a scenario where this thing can tighten up. Am I out to lunch? Are you seeing something, more bearish or bullish on the ending stocks for canola into next year?
No, actually, we kind of think that the big ending stocks that are predicted, at least for this 2025 crop year that's coming to an end here, I think it'll correct itself into next year. And, there's a couple of reasons for that. I think the big one is the increase in crush capacity that we've seen this year. The Cuppa is now, putting crush capacity at 16.4 million. So that opens up the door for a lot more crush, and the margins have been absolutely fantastic for crushing. There's a whole lot of incentive to crush as much as possible. And I think as the, bugs get worked out of those new crush plants, we could see that running pretty significantly. Normally I think we run about 88% of full capacity. So if you take that 16.4 and divide it by, or multiply it by 0.88, I think that's probably where your crush number, a good place to start your crush estimates at. And, so that's going to suck up a big chunk of it. What is left? I mean, we had a big problem with exports this year, obviously, because in August China slapped us with the trade issue there, but I think that's been resolved. So I think whatever isn't crushed is probably going to get exported, and I think that there'll be a big correction in the ending stocks for 2026. I also think that the number in and of itself, there's. Once you get into, I think the stocks to use ratio will be important as well, because, 1.5, was kind of comfortable. 1.5 million tons would have been comfortable a few years ago. With the crush capacity that we have now, 1.5 might start feeling quite a bit tighter. And even anything sub 2 million.
I would also add to, just to maybe wrap up canola, is that, the behaviors here across the prairies, like we're seeing some, some basis specials or premiums pop up. We're seeing, I don't know. I think I could list 6 different companies that are putting their hand up to buy canola right now as well. Like it was a big scary carryover number back, last year potentially for this summer, but it's tightened up, or at least the behavior seemed to be representing that. So yeah. Even if we have a bad couple days here, maybe a bad week, Brian, doesn't seem to be all doom and gloom for canola over the next little while.
Exactly.
All right. Spring wheat, that number came in 18.066 million acres. The spring wheat rally must have come just a little bit too late for many growers. They wanted to get that barley in instead. Yeah. Is that number surprise you at all? We're basically going back to the same acres that we planted back in 2022.
Yeah, no, the wheat was a real struggle for marketing this year. As far as profitability goes, spring wheat, even the versus expectations was 800,000 tons or acres below expectations. The market is reacting this morning. It is overperforming. Minneapolis wheat is overperforming the other wheat classes. So obviously there is some surprise getting priced into the markets this morning on the spring wheat side. Spring wheat had been, futures had been underperforming up until now. And we kind of needed a bit of a bullish report in order to keep Minneapolis wheat's nose above water, because it was really getting hammered. So and the bulk of the miss was in spring wheat. There was a miss versus expectations on Durham, but only about by 100,000 acres. So I think this was a surprise to the market, and it's supporting it a little bit, even though the weather. I think the weather was pushing it down. U.S. traders don't necessarily look at the, out the kitchen window of Canadian farmers. They just look at the rainfall and say, oh, the rain is overperforming. We'll sell this along with the rest of the wheat complex.
Yeah, I'm happy to see that action today, because I ended up doing a bit of a spread play last week where I bought mini and sold KC, and I was getting beat up on it. So I'm happy to see that turn around. I would also add, with the wet conditions, the wheat crop, like I have PTSD from fusarium on our farm every second year over a 6-year span. So I have a quality concern issues when it comes to moisture. So I still have to work through that in therapy, but we'll get there. So I'm a little bit curious about that. But with the rain, farmers are sending me pictures of their wheat crops, and the barley crop's yellow beside it. The wheat crop's nice and green. I don't know. We'll see how it all shakes out at the end of the day, but it's handling it a little bit better. And then, of course, there's a bunch of wheat being harvested across the globe right now. It may not be spring wheat, but that does play a factor. Yeah. All right. That's our 2 big ones here. Where do you want to go next?
I think, the barley number is big this year. And, we did see some decent spring pricing. And if yields were similar to last year, there was probably some good profitability in barley. So, I think if we can get the yield in barley, it'll still be a good year despite the big rise in acres. But I think that that number will give buyers a little bit more comfort, and they may not bid up barley in the short term here. So it could fade the price a little bit on the cash side until we get into harvest. And the malt spreads have really collapsed. There's not a whole lot of advantage to selling malt right now, but there's been lots of advantage, or there's been lots of opportunity to sell barley this spring, and I think that's locking in some good profits despite this kind of overestimate of barley acres.
Yeah, so acres up about 10%, and like we've this is a 10-year chart from StatsCan. We've seen higher barley acreage in the past. That span of 2019 to 2023. It's Yeah, it's a bigger number. It's certainly not bullish, but it's not as bad as I thought. I thought it was going to actually be bigger than this. That being said, though, again, from a feed side, a domestic feed market, you've got lots of grass growing out there. You've got the recipe for producing a bunch of stuff to feed animals here. We'll see what the export business does, but I think China's had some quality issues as well on some of their crops, some of their wheat crops. So maybe they'll have a bit more domestic feed this year. So yeah, I was, out of all my crops, I think barley and canola, I was kind of the most aggressive on here the last number of weeks. And, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think the malt guys could see a bit of a premium here just based off quality, but again, that's going to take time, and you got to figure out what that premium is against your feed price. So it's going to be a bit of a slow grind in the barley market over the next little while here, I would think. So yeah.
And I mean, Acres, kind of focuses on the supply side of the balance sheet, but I mean, if we can, exports this year of barley have just been like outstanding. Mm-hmm. And if we can keep that momentum going, it'll suck up a lot of this extra production potential.
Yeah, so I want to turn our attention over to peas now, because peas may be setting up to be a little bit of a sleeper crop here. At least farms would want to hear that, because again, profitability is kind of suffered. But I was looking at, so the pea acreage itself, like we were very, very close to this number in 2023, 3.029 million acres. 2023, we were 3.047. But you actually have to go all the way back to 2011 to find a smaller pea crop. And so, obviously, price action kind of dictating. And it's funny because on social media, on X, you hear or saw a bunch of people saying, well, fertilizer's so expensive, I'm going to put more pulses in. Well, they didn't. Lentils also significantly lower than last year, down about 10%. The pea crop down, 15% or something like that, maybe a bit more. Again, it's going to come out of greens. It's going to come out of maples for the most part, out of yellows as well. I haven't dived into the report to get the spread yet or got any context around that. But, it looks like a small pea crop, and peas don't like moisture, Brian. They do not like moisture. Yeah. And so it looks like things are tightening up on the pea side here. Anything you want to add to that?
No, I think you were right. Like, we were kind of advertising peas as the sleeper crop, but it is difficult to sell that idea because it's hard to hedge, right? So, you really have to bank on, crossing your fingers and hoping for better prices. I think this is a bearish number for peas. It might take a little while to manifest itself in prices, but
bullish number, you mean?
What did I say? Bearish? Yeah, bullish number. Yeah. Sorry.
What about oats? Do you have any thoughts around oats? The smallest or similar acres to 2023, basically. So a 3-year low on oat acreage.
Yeah, I do. Like, as far as yield goes, oats was a really good yielder last year, and I don't think you can confidently bank on yields being as high, particularly in the wet conditions. A lot of oats are grown in the very wet areas of Western Canada right now. So, yeah, I think that's an opportunity to be a sleeper crop as well. And I think quality will have a big play in that too.
Yeah, oat acres down about 15%, and again, lots of moisture on that crop right now. So we'll see what transpires. And we have carryover. Like, there's oats carried over. It doesn't matter what anybody tells me. There is oats being carried over this year, and price. The millers didn't do anything. Like, they tried to buy organic oats in the Peace Country. Like, I did see a program come out right before seeding that did buy some organic stuff, but other than that, man, they told everybody to walk away from that oat crop. Unless you're getting that 150 plus bushel per acre and you're comfortable with that budget, then yeah, you're going to stay in the oats. But for many farms, that just isn't quite achievable. So those acres, went on the move. Lentils, same thing, lowest acres since 2023. Still plenty of lentils went in. But if you look at 10 years of history here, we've got 1, 2, 3 years where we planted less lentils. So it is on the lower end of the 10-year range. Mm-hmm. Again, I think, large greens, obviously people kind of left that market. And I think weather is way more important. When you've got all this moisture on that lentil crop in Saskatchewan, like we'll see where it goes, but lots of fungicide being looked at and booked. And yeah, we'll see how this plays out over the next few weeks. If it dries up here, then yeah, we're probably laughing and potential's great. But if it stays wet, that crop certainly doesn't appreciate that.
Yep.
Anything else off StatsCan today, Brian? I know we didn't get a chance to look at maybe revisions and different classifications here, but anything else? We kind of covered the major stuff here. What am I missing?
Yeah, like you said, the report was released only a little while ago. So I know I personally haven't had the opportunity to crunch all the numbers.
Yep.
But I think those are the major market movers right now. And, again, in an hour and a half or so, today's trade based on these acreage numbers might be a moot point because, the USDA report is what's, the bigger market mover today. Yeah. Anyway, so we'll see what that brings us.
Well, let's try to harness like a positive momentum building number for wheat. Let's just all hold hands and kumbaya and get a good USDA number on wheat so we can, or corn. Corn will do it. Just give me a good number on corn. Print me a good, nice low acreage number. Get that one going and the rest will follow. So there we go.
Yeah. I mean, corn sold off so much yesterday that it looks like, that always makes me think that they're overdoing it. But, maybe that's just my, bias because I want to feel good about corn for our clients.
Yeah, you bet. And the last one here on StatsCan, I did start us off with faba beans, Brian, but I did look at this number, lowest faba bean acreage since 2016. I read an article the other day kind of hyping up the faba bean market and the excitement around it. And I was like, oh, check those acres. And that message did not translate. 10-year low on faba bean acreage. So there we go. All right. Well, as we get towards the end of the show here, we've got canola down about $8. So certainly, a number that it was anticipated and certainly not scary. Is the chart breaking down for you yet, Brian, on canola? Or do you find it's kind of holding some support here and leaves you a bit more optimistic?
I mean, the support that we see on the charts, the low that we saw on the 19th of June, 720, 790 is where that is. It's not a very strong support level.
Yeah.
I do think, the soybean oil market is not doing well this morning at all.
No, it's down over 2% now.
Yeah, It is testing the same kind of support. So canola, for all intents and purposes, is overperforming soybean oil today. And so I don't know that, I do think that there is some, some good things happening in canola. And I think a lot of it has to do with on the demand side.
You bet. I just found the chat button here once again as well. So we did have a couple questions come in. So you got another minute or two?
Absolutely.
Okay, we're over time, but Riley's asking, will the carryout on peas fix itself in 1 year? We have old crop green peas contracted for March, April that still haven't gone out. And green pea and yellow pea price is the same right now, Brian, for old crop. Like pretty much the same, around the $9 level is what I was seeing. So Riley, in the past, it has fixed itself pretty quick. Again, we need to figure out what those carryover numbers are going to look like. And the buyers, even though some of the tariffs came off, it's like the buyers stayed kind of away for green peas. So it does tend to fix itself pretty quick in my experience. Maybe not to the extreme that you want to see for that premium for those green peas, but the market acts fast. Like people are like, I'm going whole hog green peas or I'm doing nothing. And so it can correct itself. And now we have, again, let's keep an eye on the weather and quality and all that stuff out there as well. So why don't you give a quick plug on where people can find you on YouTube and where they can get your content?
Sure. On YouTube, you can subscribe to us at Canadian Ag Markets is our handle there on YouTube. And we haven't got quite to the 1,500 level, Ryan. I also
You're
think
cruising,
you shouldn't
though.
stop
You're cruising.
Yeah, you shouldn't stop the subscribe.
No,
I think
that's it. We made it.
Oh yeah, I think Western Canada needs some more exposure in ag markets, and I think that's starting to happen, and I'm really happy about that. Yeah, and then obviously we sell a subscription service as well, which we always link what that is in our YouTube show notes. So we hold back a little bit of our information for those subscribers. Yeah, which if I seem vague on some of these, that's probably why.
Well, there you go. If they want the goods, they know where to go and find it. So
absolutely.
All right, folks. Well, I just want to put a one final thing out there. I've talked more about contract buyouts or, strategy around managing risk on sold grain versus anything else this week. There is an area of heavily concentrated precipitation, and it is part of the discussions out there. I don't want to say that it isn't, but before you go down the buyout route, it's very emotional right now. There's lots of things happening. It's very stressful, and I understand that. You can have conversations with your buyers and kind of lay that out on what your concerns are. But in the growers I've been chatting with, they have sold crop at quite a bit higher values than where we're currently at. And Brian, you got any recommendation if you're in that position, anything you'd consider instead of a contract buyout?
Yeah, I used to work for one of the big grain companies, and I would say when customers were stressed and buying out of contracts, it ended up hurting them in the end. If you are going to buy out of a contract, at least, most of these companies will charge you a fee to do it. And I think that's a big, big problem. On any of the exchange traded commodities like canola and wheat, you can do things with with calls and things like that can help. So, again, I think the odds of you benefiting from buying out of contracts is lower than what you might think.
And what you don't want to see is an exit of a contract that, in some of these cases yesterday, we're talking about $1, $1.20, $1.50 a bushel. Don't give that up. Keep that in, and there's other ways to protect yourself. So good job there, Brian. Great point. This week's Cuppa Coffee was brought to you by Land for Rent. Find new acres, manage every lease in one place. Skip the paperwork headache. Landforrent.com, transforming how farmland is rented. So appreciate their support here for the entire month of June. I'm going to be at Ag in Motion in a couple of weeks, hanging out with UPL for the week, hanging out with BrettYoung on the Wednesday. We've got free t-shirts. We've got sticker books. We have a kids zone. If you've got the kids with you, come hang out with us. We've got a spot for the kids. I think we ordered almost the same amount of kids t-shirts as we did adult t-shirts this year because they're that popular. So make sure you come and say hi at Ag in Motion. Yeah. And we'll see you Friday on What the Futures. We're going to talk about the Crop Marketing Made Cool conference, which coincidentally, Brian, you're going to be at in Brandon, Manitoba later this year.
In the middle of winter.
Yep. There you go. All right, folks, that's it. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Everybody take care. We got USDA coming up here in like an hour and a half.